All right, here we are back again, guys. I'm going to try and angle this light, get a little bit more white light here. That's better. You can see I've already got dug in here a little bit, started shading the robot. Because of time constraints, I won't be getting to the whole shading of this entire drawing. It takes a long time to properly shade, so we'll be looking at how to get started. And then you guys can fly away on your own. I may continue working on this and then post the final video. I haven't decided yet, but this will probably be the last of the 5 videos. But as I said, you can see I've started getting dug in here. I'm looking at different tones here, and if you look at the robot, you can kind of see where it's all blue, it's all the same color blue, but because of where the light's hitting it, you're getting different reflections and sorry about the fingers, guys, and whatnot. So we're going to be working with this kneadable eraser this time, a little different. One of the things you can do with this is you can press it, and you can see how that lightened up that area just by pressing. This is a drawing tool, it's not as much an eraser. Looking over here, because I only have one hand, I can't clean this properly, but you can kind of pinch it and put in little reflections, and as I said, press it, and you can see how that lightened that area right up. Now I will go back in and put those tones in because they do need to be there, but this is how you show. You can go in there and put a reflection, that nice crisp reflection. I can put another one up here if I want. And that's what we're doing now. I'm just going to clean that up a little bit. You can see I've used some line to show some of the details. I haven't got nearly even halfway into it yet, but we're getting there. And what you have to do, because that's a color object, we're looking at all the different tones. Your darkest tone is that blue, and the darkest tone of blue is down here, really. And then you're looking at the head is a different tone, the face and the head are both different tones. This is pretty much the lightest other than this little bit of white right here. Then when you look at the rest of the still life, this brown rivals that blue for intensity of tone. So you want to keep that in mind. This book's pretty dark too. But if you look at all the different tones. You've got almost pure white, but look at the shadows and the grays. There's very little pure white there. In fact, it's almost the same value as this, the same tone. But you've got this, this is another tone, again, the elephant, and then of course this guy, and then the white cloth, which I'm not overly concerned with right now. So it's a big job, but somebody's got to do it. So your job now is to start just looking for values. And I'll keep this running for a little bit, and I'll just basically talk and shade, probably mostly shade. I'm now working between my 2B and 4B pencils. I am using this thing a little bit just to show you guys, and again, my kneadable eraser. This thing, look, hold it back here. You can notice I'm not putting any pressure. It should take no pressure at all. All I want to do is gently blend those values. And I'm letting some of them carry into that what's supposed to be an air hose. And I'm going to go in there and lighten that a little bit as well, because it is lighter. So all I'm doing is pressing, pinching a little piece of the eraser, find a clean piece, and then I'm pressing it in. And that's just taking enough off. I'm going to clean that white up a little bit. And that took just enough off. Then I'm going to take my 4B pencil, and because this is a toy, there are hard lines drawn on it. So I'm going to go around and replicate those lines. And the hose has sections. So I'm going to go around and try to replicate those sections now that I've got the tone or the value that I want for that hose. And now you can start to see a little bit of the detail. Can you see that? Yeah, pretty well. All right. You'll notice I'm holding all my tools in my hand because it's easier than trying to fumble around and look for it. It's just easier to have everything in your hand and then work on the fly. Down here, there's a space here where the leg fits into the foot, and it's very dark. So I'm going to make that very dark because it's an opening in the metal. And it's getting very little light in there. And now I'm going to go and throw some tones. Looking at my robot, there's some fairly dark tone right there on the kind of the edge of the leg. Then it comes down. And you notice I'm not going for the dark tone all at once. And there's also some darker tone on the inside of the leg. And then it's kind of lighter here because the way the light's hitting it. And then this dark tone spreads. And I'm using kind of a little circular motion. You'll notice the way I'm holding my pencil. I'm not doing this like I'm writing my name. I'm holding it on the side, and I need to sharpen my pencil again. This way, I'm getting that broad side of the graphite pencil to do the work for me instead of making lines. I want to try to avoid lines. So what I'm seeing is the texture of the paper. And it's darker up in here. It comes down. A little darker down here. Now there are lots of details and lines and different things on the legs, and I'm just going to ignore them because we just don't have the time for me to get into that. I'm going to use this stump, and I'm just going to gently blend some of that dark. You probably can't even hear that, or if you can, it's very, very light. You can see where I have been smudging, letting my hand rest. Rookie move. For those of you working on a sketchbook, which I'm assuming most of you are on the table, if you want to avoid smudging your work, get another piece of paper, clean piece, and lay it, and that's where you can rest your hand, and you won't end up with all the smudging. Put a little highlights. And we're going to go up here and go after the bottom part of his chest. Going for one tone right now. And again, there is detail there that I'm ignoring because, again, I just don't have the time in this video to show you. But I think you're going to get the idea. This arm is actually almost black in there because the arms are hollow. And right there, I'm seeing the inside of that hollow arm. And it comes down. Like that. And that works out nicely because it creates a nice contrast between that and the edge of the chest. You want a lot of your outlines to disappear. As you shade, your outlines should slowly blend into your shading. I'm going to just rush this a bit here. Again, dark. You'll notice I'm not pushing overly hard. If your graphite is starting to get shiny, you're pushing too hard. And what you want to do, if you need a darker tone and you can't get it with a pencil, you move up to a softer pencil. So I went from a 2B to a 4B. If I needed a darker tone, I might go right up to an 8B and see what I can get. And yeah, I'm getting very easily getting deep tone. And you can still get your lighter tones just by backing off on your pressure. And there's a nice deep tone catching the edge of that leg. And you can see I've left some shine there, some light areas. I'm just going to press. And back on the inside, it's actually picking up quite a reflection. Right there. Light coming through behind, so I've got to show that. As I said earlier, this thing has strips. Being Canadian, reminds me of hockey tape. Although it's got nothing really to do with Canadian, but. And it's got a flat edge there. And I'm going to make this really dark. And leave a little bit of highlight there. And just to make that stand proud of the already dark surface, dark blue surface. And same down here, this is quite dark. You can see I'm leaning on my drawing, which I really shouldn't be doing because I'm smudging out some of my nice work. But it'll survive. I neglected to get myself a little piece of paper. There we go. So his gun is complete, more or less. And you can see that the robot, the astronaut, is starting to show himself. Starting to stand out from the rest of the drawing. Now this orange is technically lighter than the blue, but it does have areas where the light's not hitting it the same. And you can see, even though I said you want a lot of your outlines to blend into the values, because in shading, lines become edges. So edges are two contrasting tones up against each other. So like you're seeing dark and light here. The line is gone here, but it looks like there's a line there because of the high contrast between the two values. And that's our goal. That's what we want. And I'm just going to add little bits of line here and there, just for little bits of detail. It's very deep right in there. And you just want that to stand out a little bit. this wind-up key. Has a little edge to it. And I'm just going to make this a nice light value. And maybe just leave it alone for now. And then down here, the sides of these shoes are quite dark. And it carries around a little bit, but not much. And again, deep in there. This one's dark, but not quite as high. But it carries around more here than on the other foot. And I'm leaving little spaces intentionally because that's little bits of light. It might not be exactly what we're looking at, but it shows that it's a reflective surface. And then we'll go ahead and put some more value here. I like the way that light spot on the corner of the toe looked, so I'm just going to leave it. Dark in there. Clean up some edges. And there you go, it's close. Just trying to see the time here. Well, we're almost out of time, guys. So, one thing we do need to address, there's not a lot of shadow because of my lighting here. There's not a great deal of shadow showing, just a little bit. So I'm just going to put a little bit of shadow. And you need to kind of look at the shape of the shadow. You don't want a hard edge on that shadow. Notice I drew it really lightly. And then I'm going to take my eraser. I'm going to just soften that edge even more. And then I'm also going to go ahead and remember back in the other video we talked about the darkest point is where it's resting, and that settles it down a little bit. Oh, I kind of neglected the front of the face here. It's darker under here where the helmet turns away. It tapers up here a little bit, and then it gets light. Now I'm rushing a little bit more than I should be just because I want to show you guys, but I think you'll get the idea. And again, I'm going to go back in and restate some of this dark to show the bend in the helmet. There we go. And a little bit of line. And a little bit of line there because there's a strong line there. A little bit darker there. And almost. His hands kind of look like oven mitts. this here. And a little highlight, just to lighten that a little bit. And it's looking pretty good. That's just a weird kind of inside look at his hand. I'm going to just go with a little line there just to punch it up. So there, unfortunately we're out of time. Like I say, I'm done for tonight, but I may continue working on this. But you can see that that robot is starting to come along. You can see the different tones and reflections. It's nowhere near done. That took 22 minutes to do that little bit. So if you apply that same to each of these, you got 20, 40, 60, 80, 100 minutes, put an hour and a half in there. And then we didn't even discuss background, which we can talk briefly about. Maybe I will do one more short video. So that's it, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it thus far, and if I don't do another video, just keep working away just like I've done here, looking for values, looking where it turns dark. As objects go around away from the light, they get darker. As they come out to the light, they get lighter. So just remember that, and you should have good success. If you don't want to do the shading and you just want to leave it as a line drawing, why not? We could even do this. You could even leave one part shaded and the rest as a line drawing. It still makes a neat looking drawing. So again, hope you're all staying well. And until I see you again, take care.